Tropical Storm Idalia forms, hurricane threat building. Our newest tropical storm of the Atlantic hurricane system has just been named. Idalia is slowly sauntering around the western Caribbean and is now at 40 mile per hour tropical storm status, 19.9 north, 85.7 west. Just off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, it is 40 mile per hour winds, pressure of 996 millibars, moving east at 2 miles per hour as of noon Central Daylight Time or Eastern Mexican Time this August 27th. That makes it a tropical storm, and we expect strengthening, and it's likely to become a significant hurricane threat to the Florida Peninsula and Panhandle. Here it is right now with a small wind quadrant to the southwest, depicted by recon at least. This isn't official. This is the position of the storm located on the map in relation to some of these locations. It's 126 kilometers from Cozumel, which is under a tropical storm warning, 181 from Cancun, 182 from Tulum, both in warnings as well, 494 from Havana, and 949 from Tampa. Tropical storm warning also for the province of Pinar del Rio in Cuba, and tropical storm watches over there on the Isle of Youth, just to the south of western Cuba as well. No warnings yet for the United States, but we expect that things will ramp up in the near future. So the primary hazards that we're concerned about right now is still storm surge along the western coast of Florida and around the Florida Panhandle. Still a lot of uncertainty about this storm's track and intensity, so that's why we're not putting up winds or rainfall yet, although they are likely to be considerable nonetheless. But at the moment we are most concerned about storm surge along any region of that coastal area of Florida later on. Here's the latest forecast then from the GFS ensembles, and this is what it's expecting over the next few days in terms of its track. We are expecting the storm will probably reach Category 2 before making landfall, and that landfall looked like it was very close to Apalachicola, moving inland into the northeast, to the northeast over the eastern states there, the Carolinas, and then back out, possibly near the Outer Banks next weekend. 40 miles per hour right now with good confidence. Recon got wind speeds probably slightly above that, but in the lower 40s. ADT, the satellite techniques, are also throwing out readings into the mid to high 40s in miles per hour. AMSU still lagging behind at about 35. So 40 miles per hour is a good estimate, and you can see on the NHC forecast there, they're also expecting a hurricane with quite a large cone. Here's some of the models displayed next to each other. HWRF still going for that most southerly scenario near Cedar Key by the looks of things, and to the western extent there, GFS and HMON near Apalachicola just east of there. In terms of wind speed, none of those models are yet calling for anything higher than a Category 1, which is interesting. It is definitely becoming a distinct possibility there. Here is the GFS looking up a little bit closer now over the next few days, and you can see it there once again swiping the coast of Florida and then moving towards the northeast, getting very elongated as it moves along the coast of North Carolina, but it may just about manage to hold on to get a little second go as it continues northeastwards. You can also see Franklin off to the right hand side becoming a powerful hurricane, possibly getting to major status, well probably actually, but maybe even to Category 4. So it's clear that both of these storms look like they're going to be overperforming compared to original forecasts. Let's take a look at the simulated radar reflectivity on these two storms as well, but particularly Idalia there really ramping up just before it makes that landfall to the east of Apalachicola, as we mentioned, towards St. Mark's I think it is, and then inland will certainly produce copious amounts of rainfall. Let's just take a look there once again as that animation progresses. Yep, it's the eastern side that has the worst conditions, and it switches round to the north actually when it does make landfall, so the leading edge of the storm is likely to be the worst when it arrives in the United States. Looking at rainfall expectations then, you can see it flowing across the western Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico as the storm progresses northwards, and significant amounts of rainfall drawing a line there, moving inland over the interior Florida Panhandle, Georgia, South Carolina into North Carolina, reaching the coast again. 10 inches looking like that's going to be the maximum at the moment. It's been pretty consistent with that round number really, in that ballpark, around 250 millimeters, and into the Carolinas there, possibly up to about 8 inches. And in the Florida Peninsula further south, if the storm continues to move west as that forecast there, we'll be looking at lower amounts around 3 inches, and a similar number there for the Yucatan. Now, sea surface temperatures extremely warm, as we all know. And we've known about this for quite some time, so these temperatures are reading a little bit low because it's model output, but those temperatures are definitely 31 degrees, possibly touching 32 in a few spots where the storm is heading northeastwards, and it's a bit of a nightmare scenario there with those very warm SSTs. And the only thing that will be stopping this storm probably is moderate wind shear, which will inhibit the full amount of strengthening that this storm could do, and of course its fast movement. Well, here's the satellite imagery of it right now, visible, and it shows that the storm is partly or mostly exposed, but it's certainly got a lot of convection around it. It's not doing too badly at all so far. The strongest winds so far were seen in the southwestern, little bit of convection there that's blowing up, probably the closest to the center actually, and a big massive cloud continues to extend eastwards now from this storm as it pushes on. I don't know whether that's wind shear, whether that's dry air taking a little bit of a toll there. And interestingly, you can see Franklin on the right hand side pushing some of that dry air shielding over towards Idalia, so that's an interesting combination there. But Idalia should overcome any of those dry air issues. It should at least partially overcome wind shear, and it could become a significant, I wouldn't say powerful yet, but certainly a substantial hurricane for the coast of Florida.